Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the ones who sift through the mountains of game data and lore so you don't have to.
Yep, we do the digging.
And today, oh boy, are we digging into something nasty. We're taking let's call it a chemical journey into the capital Wasteland?
Bleak place.
Yeah.
Radioactive ruins, scarcity, constant danger. You'd think survival would be the only thing on people's minds.
You would think. But no. Turns out, even 200 years after the bombs dropped, humanity's gotta have its drink. Gotta get that buzz.
Even if it's a horrifyingly toxic buzz, apparently.
Exactly. Which is kind of our mission today, right? We're gonna be apocalyptic sommeliers.
Huh. Yeah, mixologists of the Wasteland. We're taking apart the consumables, specifically the booze. We've got the hooch, the rock gut, and the relics. That's how we're thinking about it.
Hooch, rock gut relics. I like it.
And the big questions are, did this stuff actually survive the Great War? Like, are these dusty old bottles genuine pre-war artifacts?
Or is it bathtub gin made with radroach guts and prayer?
Pretty much. We need to figure out what's pre-war treasure and what's post-war. Desperation. And what's the actual chemical cost to the poor sod drinking this stuff?
Right. And we've got a decent pile of source material here, item stats, location data, even crafting recipes, which is fantastic.
That recipe stuff is gold. Really helps draw the line between something fancy from 2077 and something brewed in, 2277 out of sheer necessity.
So the fundamental question driving this whole thing, how are people getting drunk in this hellscape? And what does their choice of poison tell us about survival, psychology, maybe even the economy, 200 years after the end of the world?
Before we dive into specific bottles, though, we have to lay down the basic rule of wasteland drinking. There's this fundamental trade-off. It's almost tragic, really.
Okay, what's the trade-off?
With pretty much every alcoholic drink we're going to look at, the core mechanic is the same. You get a temporary boost, right? Physical and social skills go up.
That's the plus strength and plus charisma you see in the stats. Makes you tougher, better at smooth talking or intimidating people. Useful stuff.
Super useful in the short term. But, and this is the kicker, you pay for it directly with your brain power.
Ah, the intelligence.
Exactly. Minus intelligence. You get stronger, you get dumber,
Yeah.
you get more charismatic, you get less perceptive, less strategic. It's unavoidable.
Wow, that's a Faustian bargain right there. You're essentially choosing to be temporarily better at punching or haggling by making yourself temporarily worse at, thinking.
It's the ultimate short-term fix. You need to win this fight now. You need to pass this speech check right now. Worry about the consequences later.
But the consequences are huge in that world. Intelligence affects your medicine skill, your science, your repair, critical survival stuff.
Precisely. So you drink that whiskey to get the strength boost for a fight, fine. But maybe right after you stumble into a room full of gas leaks and you need your science skill to shut it down, or you step on a mine and need repair to disarm it.
And suddenly that -1 INT means you're less likely to succeed. You might literally die because you chose to get stronger for a few minutes.
That's the chemical gamble of the wasteland drinker. You're actively, willingly making yourself less capable of long-term survival for a short-term advantage. It's brutal when you think about it that way.
Okay, yeah, that sets the stage perfectly. So let's start with the absolute king of wasteland consumption, statistically speaking, beer.
Oh God, the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to start here. The sheer amount of it it's kind of mind-boggling, dominates everything else.
The number, just from the source data on pre-placed items in the world, it's 536 bottles.
536. And let's be clear, that's not counting vendor stock or random loot in containers or anything from DLCs. That's just sitting there on shelves on tables in ruins.
How is that even possible? 536 bottles surviving the bombs, 200 years of decay, radiation, and generations of thirsty survivors. It defies logic.
It really does. It points to one of two things, neither of which sounds great. Either there was some kind of protected, maybe automated brewing facility that somehow kept churning this stuff out, which seems incredibly unlikely.
Almost impossible, yeah. The infrastructure collapse was total.
Or the pre-war world was just drowning in this specific brand or type of beer, like military-grade stockpiles. Enough beer to fill swimming pools, distributed everywhere.
So if it was everywhere, does that mean it was just the cheapest, crappiest swill available? Like, nobody bothered hoarding it because it wasn't worth the effort?
That's the most likely interpretation, yeah. Its value in-game is pathetic 2 caps, the lowest of any alcohol. It suggests it was the absolute bottom shelf, maybe the generic brand, the stuff you bought in huge, cheap cases.
The dollar store beer of 2077.
Exactly. Too common to be a treasure, too low value to prioritize looting when you're grabbing survival gear.
Okay, but let me throw out an alternative. What if the sheer volume, the 536, doesn't just mean cheap, but means logistics? Like organized distribution.
Go on.
Could this have been like military issue beer? Or stuff stockpiled for civilian defense shelters on a massive scale? That would explain the numbers and why it's found in weird utilitarian places.
That's actually a really good point. You find big caches in places that aren't just homes or bars. Like Evergreen Mills Bazaar, the Raider Hangout, has 36 bottles. Okay, Raiders like beer.
But Satcon Array NN03 has 32 bottles. Why would there be 32 beers next to sensitive satellite equipment?
Unless it was part of the rations stored there for personnel or guards. Yeah, that fits. You wouldn't store premium liquor there, but cheap bulk beer for the grunts. Absolutely.
So it's the universal solvent, basic necessity, maybe even a kind of low-level currency when caps aren't around.
And it fits with the mechanics, too. It's the safest option, only a 5% addiction chance.
Half the risk of the hard stuff.
Right, and the +1 ST, +1 CH buff is there, but it lasts for a shorter duration than whiskey or vodka. It's the entry-level buzz. Mildest effects, lowest risk.
Perfect for just taking the edge off the constant existential dread, I guess.
Without completely wrecking your ability to function, yeah.
Yeah, the packaging is interesting. The Kit Boy icon, it shows a label, like actual branding.
Yeah, you can almost make out some text.
But the bottle you pick up in the world, blank. Totally generic.
So what gives? Did the labels just rot off over 200 years? Possible, I guess. Paper doesn't last.
Or was it just generic beer pumped out in blank bottles right before the end, maybe with labels slapped on later? Or maybe the icon is just, representative.
Given the sheer quantity, I lean towards generic, maybe rushed production. But here's where it gets really weird and cool. The sound effect.
The sound, what about it?
The data confirms it. Picking up beer, dropping beer, buying beer, it makes a different sound than picking up whiskey, vodka, or wine.
Wait, really? The other bottles have that heavy, thick glass clink sound, right?
Exactly. Like sturdy, old-fashioned liquor bottles designed to last. Beer doesn't sound like that.
So, what does it sound like?
It's described as lighter, less resonant, maybe more of a tink or even a dull thud, depending on the interpretation of the sound file data. It definitely doesn't sound like thick glass.
Okay, hold on. If it's not thick glass, what could it be? What kind of container survives 200 years better than glass, especially in those numbers?
Well, think about pre-war tech. They had advanced canning, right? Nuka-Cola cans are everywhere. What if this beer was primarily canned? Aluminum cans would explain the different sound.
Aluminum, okay, yeah. Lighter sound, more durable than glass against impacts or shock waves, maybe. Slower corrosion.
Could be. Or, another possibility, some kind of advanced, cheap, durable plastic. We know pre-war chemistry was advanced. Maybe they had polymers that just haven't fully broken down yet.
Ugh, plastic beer bottles. Classic.
Hey, if it survives the apocalypse, it works. But the sound strongly suggests it's not the same kind of heavy glass bottle used for the spirits.
So the most common booze survived precisely because it was in the cheapest, most disposable yet weirdly durable packaging. Canned beer, the cockroach of the beverage world.
It's a perfect irony, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it sets up the contrast perfectly for the next category.
Right.
We're moving from the cheap, ubiquitous, possibly canned stuff.
To the fancy, glass-bottled, pre-war hard stuff, the relics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whiskey, scotch, vodka, and wine. The pre-war hard line.
All right, let's climb the alcoholic ladder. Whiskey, scotch, vodka, wine. You group these four together. Why?
Because mechanically they're twins. Or quadruplets, I guess. They share the exact same core effects profile in the source data.
Which is?
The standard hard liquor deal.
Yeah.
+1 strength, +1 charisma, -1 intelligence. And importantly, the duration is fixed across all four minutes.
4 minutes of being slightly stronger, slightly smoother, and slightly stupider.
Yep. Seems like the pre-war spirits industry had some standardization going on. But the key sheer trait is the risk.
Ah, the addiction chance. We mentioned this. It jumps up significantly from beer.
Doubles. Every single one of these whiskey, scotch, vodka, wine carries a 10% chance of alcohol addiction per drink.
That's the threshold. 10%. That's where you cross the line from casual drinking into potentially serious dependency territory in the Wasteland. 1 in 10 drinks could hook you.
And again, remember what that -1 intelligence means. It's not just feeling a bit fuzzy. It's a measurable decrease in your ability to hack terminals, fix gear, patch yourself up.
Right. You drink some vodka to sweet talk a merchant.
You get a better price, great. But then you turn a corner, there's a turret. And suddenly your science skill isn't quite high enough to hack the nearby terminal to shut it down because you're down 1 INT point.
Ouch. Short-term gain, potentially fatal long-term, well, short-term consequence, really.
Exactly. It's always immediate. Okay, so within this group of four, there's actually a bit of a hierarchy, especially economically. Let's start with this surprising top dog, vodka.
Vodka, really? Why vodka?
Yep. Base game value is 20 caps per bottle. That's double the value of whiskey, scotch, or wine.
20 caps. Why the premium? Does it give better stats?
Nope. Same +1/+1/1 for 4 minutes. Same 10% addiction risk. Chemically identical in effect.
Yeah. It's just rarer. Or perceived as better somehow.
That's the likely answer. It's noted as being one of the more uncommon beverages. And look where you primarily find it sold by established vendors. Moriarty's Saloon, bars in Rivet City, the Ninth Circle, places with actual supply lines, relatively speaking.
So vendors charge more because it's harder for them to get. Scarcity driving the price.
That's part of it. Could also be a holdover perception from pre-war times. Maybe vodka was seen as purer, more sophisticated, or cleaner than the brown liquors. That reputation might have survived.
The clean spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So below vodka, we have the 10-cap crew. Whiskey, scotch, and wine. Let's break down whiskey first. It's got a name, right?
It does. Old Royale Premium Whiskey. Feels fancy.
Old Royale. Yeah, definitely aiming for that faux prestigious vibe. Where do you find this stuff?
This is interesting. The biggest stashes aren't just random loot. They're found in places associated with pre-war wealth or security.
Yeah.
10-penny Tower Suite, 34 bottles. The Player House in Megaton, 32 bottles.
Whoa. So people were specifically hoarding this brand before the bombs fell, treating it like an asset.
Looks that way. Suggests it was a recognizable mid to high tier brand that wealthy people or survivalists thought was worth preserving. Not just booze, but a status symbol, like you said.
And it has that visual quirk, the glow.
Yeah, the source notes mention a subtle orange glow, which is weird and a bit concerning in that world.
Is it radioactive? Like Nuka-Cola Quantum's strontium-90 glow. Does it give you rads?
Doesn't seem like it. No RADS penalty is listed, so maybe not active radiation. Could be, like you suggested earlier, some kind of pre-war artificial coloring that was unusually stable, maybe concentrated over 200 years.
Or maybe trace amounts of radioactive isotopes just seeped into the liquid from the environment over 2 centuries. Not enough to give a RADS dose, but enough to cause a faint phosphorescence.
That's also plausible. Either way, it adds this layer of chemical uncertainty. Is it just old food dye, or is it mildly contaminated history? Kind of creepy.
Definitely takes the premium edge off it a bit. Okay, scotch. Same 10-cap value, also pretty rare like wine. But its social role seems different.
Totally different. This is fascinating. The source material highlights specific interactions. You can get free scotch from Dukov just by asking nicely, hey, can I have some of that hooch?
Tukov, the sleazy guy with the companions in his apartment, just gives it away.
Yep. And Gob, the ghoul bartender in Moriarty's Saloon, offers a discount on it if you're friendly.
So even though it's physically rare and has the same value as whiskey, people are more willing to share it or discount it.
It suggests scotch occupies this weird space. It's a pre-war relic, yeah, but it's treated more like social currency, a gift, way to build rapport, a communal drink, less hoarded than whiskey, less commercially controlled than vodka.
Maybe you retain some of that cultural association, you know, sharing a bottle of scotch, hospitality.
Could be. It's a neat little detail about how value isn't just caps, it's also social function.
All right, that leaves wine, also 10 caps, also one of the rarest. But this one feels different again. It feels older, more specific.
Oh, absolutely. Because the sources actually give us names and vintages. This isn't just generic wine.
Yeah, lay them on us. What are these ancient bottles?
We've got 2055 Chateau Lafayette. Sounds classy, very old world French. Then there's 2043 Chateau Montrose. Same vibe. Established luxury.
Okay, so pre-war wine snobs were still doing their thing. Makes sense. What's the third one?
This is the kicker. 2064 Atomic Claret.
Atomic Claret. Seriously, in 2064, that's only 13 years before the bombs.
Yep. Tells you everything you need to know about late-stage pre-war American consumer culture, doesn't it?
My God, they were theming wine after nuclear energy. The very thing about to incinerate them.
The atomic age aesthetic permeated everything. Even the most traditional conservative industries like winemaking apparently couldn't resist slapping atomic on the label. It's darkly hilarious.
Enjoy this fine claret, darling. Pairs beautifully with impending global annihilation. Unbelievable.
And where do you find these specific named vintages? Places that scream preserved wealth or high-value loot. The Calvert Mansion basement in Point Lookout, a sealed rich family's hideaway. High-level enemies like raider bosses or Talon Company mercs sometimes carry a bottle.
So these are true artifacts, spoils of war for the toughest survivors, or hidden gems in forgotten vaults.
Exactly. Which brings up the big question. What does 200-year-old wine, especially something called atomic claret, actually taste like?
Vinegar, probably. Wine is delicate, corks fail, oxidation happens.
You'd think so. The fact that it still functions as alcohol in the game implies some kind of miraculous preservation, maybe entered gas sealing. Heavy use of pre-war chemical stabilizers, sheer dumb luck.
Or maybe the atomic part wasn't just branding. Maybe it was slightly irradiated for preservation. Kidding, mostly.
Who knows? But realistically, the value isn't in the taste anymore. It's symbolic. You're drinking history. You're drinking the memory of a world that could afford luxuries like Chateau Montrose and atomic claret.
And probably getting a mouthful of dust and regret, along with your +1 charisma.
Pretty much. It's the ghost of sophistication in a world of rot gut. Which actually brings us neatly to the rot gut.
Okay, we've admired the dusty relics of the before times, the ubiquitous beer, the hoarded whiskey, the status vodka, the ancient wine. But supplies are finite, right? What happens when the pre-war stash runs dry or you're stuck somewhere without access to it?
Then you get creative. Or desperate. Which leads us directly to the prime example of post-apocalyptic brewing ingenuity. Or maybe insanity. Moonshine.
Moonshine. Found in the Point Lookout expansion, right? The creepy swamp place.
That's the one. And this is crucial because, unlike everything else we've discussed, Moonshine gives us a crafting recipe. We know exactly how people are making booze after the bombs, using what's available in their specific, messed up environment.
This is where we see post-war necessity truly driving invention. So, how do you make moonshine in a radioactive Maryland swamp? Lay the recipe on us.
You're ready, because this is something else. It's made at Marguerite still, this local apparatus. You need 3 things. First, yeast.
Okay, yeast. Makes sense. Fermentation needs yeast. Some things never change.
Second, the sugar source. Not grain, not potatoes, punga fruit.
Punga fruit, that weird glowing mutated plant that grows all over Point Lookout?
The very same. 20 wild punga fruits, or interestingly, only 10 refined punga fruits. So there's some local processing tech involved too.
Right.
But yeah, the base sugar comes from radioactive swamp flora.
Lovely. Already sounds like a hangover waiting to happen. What's the third ingredient?
This is the one that just makes you stop and say, what the actual fuck? You need 6 fission batteries.
6? Wait, fission batteries, as in the power sources. Little nuclear batteries? To make booze?
6 of them per batch. I mean, what is going on there? Are they cracking them open, using the contents?
Are they just chucking them into the mash? Is it for heat? Like a super uncontrolled, dangerous way to boil the still?
That's one possibility. Using the battery's energy discharge for rapid high-pressure distillation, which sounds like a great way to blow yourself up.
Or worse, are they using the chemicals inside the batteries as some kind of twisted catalyst to speed up fermentation or increase potency?
That seems even more likely and frankly more horrifying. If they're incorporating heavy metals or radioactive isotopes from those batteries into the drink.
Yeah.
It's not just moonshine, it's poison. It's a chemical weapon you drink willingly.
My God. The desperation involved. To think that adding batteries to your homebrew is a good idea, it tells you everything about the Point Lookout swamp folk.
It really does. Survival by any means necessary, even if those means involve drinking trace amounts of battery acid and mutated fruit residue.
So, okay, yeast, radioactive swamp fruit, and freaking fission batteries. What kind of unholy concoction does this produce? What are the effects?
As you might expect from the ingredients list, it's potent. The source material explicitly calls it the strongest alcohol in the game.
Stronger than vodka or whiskey? How much stronger?
The effects are literally doubled compared to the pre-war hard stuff. Instead of +1 strength and +1 charisma, Moonshine gives you +2 strength and +2 charisma.
+2. That's a significant boost, especially strength for combat.
Yeah.
But what about the downside, the intelligence penalty?
Also doubled. -2 intelligence.
Ooh, OF. -2 INT. That's crippling. That doesn't just make you bad at science checks, that makes you borderline incapable. You're trading short-term brawn for temporary, profound stupidity.
It's the trade-off pushed to its absolute extreme. You drink this when you need to be incredibly strong or intimidating right now, and you absolutely do not care about thinking clearly. At all.
Like, if you're a swamp folk about to charge a Marilyrk queen with a rusty pipe wrench, maybe -2 INT doesn't seem so bad compared to +2 ST.
Exactly. It's pure desperation juice. Tactical idiocy in a bottle.
What about the addiction risk, though? If it's twice as potent, is it twice as addictive?
That's the really fascinating part. No, it carries the exact same 10% addiction chance as whiskey, vodka, scotch, and wine.
Wait, really? Same risk. How does that make sense?
It suggests that the addiction potential, at least as modeled in the game's mechanics, is tied to the category of alcohol, hard liquor, rather than the sheer potency or toxicity of the specific brew. The swamp folk managed to double the effects and the cognitive damage, but didn't increase the baseline chemical hook.
So you get twice the bang, twice the brain damage, but the same odds of getting physically dependent. That's oddly specific.
It's a weird wrinkle. Maybe the core addictive compounds are similar, just more concentrated. Or maybe it's just a game balance thing. But it means that, from a pure risk of dependency standpoint, drinking battery acid moonshine is no worse than sipping pre-war scotch. Which is wild.
And contextually, it fits. This stuff is made and consumed by the swamp folk, this isolated, probably mutated, culturally distinct group living in the absolute worst environment. Of course, they make the strongest, most dangerous, most fucked up booze.
It's the taste of utter desperation. Can you even imagine what it tastes like? Battery corrosion, swamp muck, fermented punga, maybe hints of ozone and regret.
Ugh, makes that 200-year-old dusty wine sound like nectar of the gods in comparison. You're not drinking moonshine for the flavor profile, that's for damn sure.
You're drinking it to forget you live in a radioactive swamp and have to fight giant crabs with boat hooks.
Oh.
Pure, functional, dangerous oblivion. Okay, so let's pull this all together. We've got the landscape now. A sea of cheap, ubiquitous beer, scattered islands of valuable pre-war hard liquor relics, and then this localized, high-potency, post-apocalyptic moonshine bubbling away in the swamps. What's the big picture? What does it all mean for life in the capital wasteland?
Well, the first thing that just screams out is that universal trade-off we started with, the minus intelligence. It's baked into every single drink. Why? Why is getting dumber the cost of admission for getting drunk in this world?
I think it works on two levels. First, the obvious one, the temporary buffs. In a world of constant physical threat and precarious social interactions, that plus ST and plus CH is a real tangible survival tool. Helps you win fights, carry more loot, get better prices, intimidate rivals. It's chemical armor.
Right, the immediate practical benefit. But you mentioned a second level.
The escapism. The deliberate cognitive grain. The INT isn't just a side effect, maybe it's part of the point. Think about the daily reality. Constant danger, radiation, mutation, loss, scavenging filthy ruins, seeing horrific violence. The mental toll must be astronomical. That INT represents a temporary shutdown of the analytical, strategic, worrying part of your brain.
So it's not just making you stronger, it's making you temporarily stop thinking about how unbelievably shitty everything is.
Exactly. It's chemical numbness. It's a way to cope with systemic societal PTSD. When reality is unbearable, lowering your intelligence to blunt the edges might feel like a survival mechanism in itself. Maybe thinking too clearly is the real liability.
Wow, that's dark. But it makes a horrible kind of sense. The sheer popularity of these drinks, especially the cheap beer, suggests a population desperately self-medicating against trauma, posing temporary muscle and oblivion over clarity.
And it ties into the risk calculation too. A sober survivor notices the click of a mine, the rad counter ticking up, the trap wire glinting in the shadows. An intoxicated survivor, boosted strength but dulled wits, might just blunder right into it.
Prioritizing the immediate fight over perceiving the hidden danger. Muscle over mind, like we said.
Then there's the economic story these drinks tell. The hierarchy is crystal clear.
Yeah, beer at 2 caps, basically worthless, found everywhere. Then the standard hard liquors like whiskey and scotch at 10 caps pre-war. Valuable, but maybe still somewhat accessible or used socially.
Then vodka at 20 caps the premium, vendor-controlled spirit, suggesting higher status or real scarcity. And finally, the named wines, practically priceless artifacts, collected like treasures, representing a lost world of luxury.
It's like a perfect reflection of the surviving economy and class structure frozen in time. The difference between finding a random unlabeled beer bottle and finding a 2055 Chateau Lafayette is the difference between finding loose change and finding a diamond ring.
One is disposable utility, the other is a symbol of something utterly gone.
And standing completely outside that pre-war hierarchy is moonshine. It doesn't have a pre-war value because it didn't exist pre-war.
Exactly. It's the ultimate post-war statement. made from local mutations and salvage tech, those goddamn fission batteries. It shows the absolute baseline of ingenuity and desperation required to keep the alcohol flowing when the old world supplies run out or aren't available.
It's the chemical signature of making do, even if making do involves drinking something that could probably power a small appliance.
So yeah, the Wasteland's drowning in cheap beer, occasionally finds a rare taste of history, and brews up super potent, toxic swamp juice when it has to. That's the alcoholic ecosystem.
Okay, so to wrap this part up, we've seen the stats, the recipes, the implications, the sheer volume of beer, the specific names of ancient wines, the absolutely batshit ingredients in Moonshine, but let's leave the listener with something to chew on.
Right. The final thought. We've established that intelligence thinking clearly, strategically, perceptively is arguably the single most important survival skill in that complex, lethal environment.
Definitely. Your wits keep you alive more than just brute strength, usually.
So if that's true, what does it tell us about the collective psyche of the capital wasteland? That the most popular consumables, the things people seek out constantly, are chemicals specifically designed to lower that crucial intelligence score.
Yeah. They're universally choosing the path that makes them temporarily less capable of navigating the world safely, in exchange for strength or charisma.
Is it just about forgetting the horror for a few minutes? Or is it a deeper statement? A kind of societal acknowledgement that maybe after 200 years of this crap, prioritizing immediate physical needs and blunt social force over careful thought is the optimal survival strategy.
Are they implicitly saying that thinking too hard about the future, about rebuilding, about the complexities is pointless? That the best way to live now is just moment to moment, fight to fight, drink to drink?
Are they optimizing for muscle and forgetting? Because the long-term mental game is one they've already lost. That's the chilling question the Wasteland's drinking habits leave us with.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So last time we really dug into the basic Nuka-Cola, right? The standard formula, that whole thing about 17 fruit essences and, well, a bunch of chemicals somehow being a health tonic.
Yeah, the foundational lie, as you called it. Carbonated water, caramel color, aspartame, all that stuff. Plus the fruit.
Exactly. But today, for part 2, we're leaving that, let's say, relatively simple formula behind. We are going deep into the chemical clusterfrank.
Right, we're talking about the Nuka-Cola Corporation's really experimental stuff, the high-stakes variants, the stuff that, frankly, gets pretty unhinged.
So the mission today, we're dissecting these high-risk, high-reward drinks that actually survived the Great War. We're focusing on ice-cold Nuka-Cola, the infamous Nuka-Cola Quantum, and also that weird flop Nuka-Cola Clear.
And we're digging into internal company documents, R&D notes, historical fan lore, basically piecing together the real story behind how they were made, what they actually do to you, the benefits, the costs.
And the how it survived part 2, because that's key.
Absolutely. And, you know, we got to set the tone here. This isn't just about weird soda flavors. The science involved sometimes feels like, well, borderline sci-fi. But the implications, they're pretty real, pretty dark. Corporate cynicism cranked way up.
We're looking for how these things were forged. And not just chemically, right? But like morally forged.
Exactly. Were safety protocols just ignored? Was technology developed specifically to create these inescapable market choke points? It feels like the goal was always market dominance, whatever the cost.
Yeah, that's the heart of it. It's corporate engineering focused on scarcity, maybe addiction, definitely not consumer safety. You have to keep that base formula in mind, those vitamin minerals and health tonics, quote unquote, while we talk about how they added things like perpetual chilling tech and radioactive isotopes.
It's a wild ride from just sarcastic marketing slogans to something much, much worse.
Okay, let's start with maybe the simplest sounding one first. Ice cold Nuka-Cola.
Right. Seems benign, doesn't it? Just cold Nuka-Cola. But the sources, they make it really clear. The way it's made is, well, it's proprietary. It's actually a high-tech process.
This is where it gets genuinely weird. It's not just sticking a bottle in a fridge. No. The sources are adamant. You cannot make ice-cold Nuka-Cola that way. It specifically requires putting a regular Nuka-Cola into a pristine Nuka-Cola machine. That specific condition, being pristine, that's the key. It's why survivors look for those machines, right? For the megaton house or the 10 tower suite.
It elevates the vending machine from, you know, just a dispenser to a piece of specialized forging equipment almost.
Yeah, like it's not just cooling it. It implies the machine is fundamentally changing the liquid, maybe even the bottle itself. Molecular alteration.
It sounds like industrial alchemy, really.
Yeah.
A complex process hidden inside a simple vending machine function. And it's only available through these rare, perfectly maintained pre-war machines.
Think about the logistics of that from a corporate standpoint. This proprietary method, it creates this massive bottleneck. You need their special machine.
Right, your regular fridge. Useless for this specific effect. Any other cooling method? Nope.
So the corporation basically engineered dependency on their hardware just to get the, quote, optimal consumer experience. It's manufacturing scarcity through tech.
But if you can get it, the benefits are significant. The main thing is this huge boost in healing properties. Regular Nuka-Cola barely heals you, what, 10 HP?
Something like that, yeah. Negligible.
But the ice-cold version, it doubles it, plus 20 hit points. That's a serious jump.
And wasn't there something about a food sanitizer upgrade making it even better?
Yes, exactly. If the survivor has that pre-war tech, the healing goes up even more, to plus 24 HP.
Okay, but why? Why does just being cold make it heal so much more? Chemically, that doesn't immediately make sense. Any theories on the mechanism?
The sources don't give us a definitive answer. It's still kind of mysterious. But we can speculate based on the original ingredients. Maybe those 17 fruit essences and other compounds are like really unstable at room temp.
Okay.
So the special chilling process might stabilize them somehow. Or maybe it does the opposite. Maybe it crystallizes or restructures the chemical bonds in a way that lets your cells absorb them way faster when you drink it.
Like an instant delivery system supercharged by the cold.
Could be. Something proprietary is definitely happening beyond simple cooling.
But here's the kicker. The big paradox. The thing that screams forged product in that moral sense we talked about.
Ah, yes.
Despite this super high-tech, special, pristine chilling process, the drink still gives you +3 radiation.
Right. That's the Nuka-Cola Corporation signature, isn't it? The process boosts the good stuff, the healing, but it does absolutely nothing to remove the inherent chemical nastiness or the radiation from the original formula.
So the rads are just baked in, probably tied to the caramel color or the phosphoric acid, something fundamental.
Exactly. They're bonded to the core ingredients. The company likely spent a fortune developing this perpetual chill tech, but they couldn't, or maybe just wouldn't, bother to purify the basic toxic junk already in there.
They prioritized the enhanced effect, the benefit, over actual safety.
Performance over purity, every time.
It's the perfect metaphor for that whole pre-war corporate mindset, isn't it? Sure, we'll make you feel better faster, but yeah, you're still getting cancer. Sorry, not sorry.
The damage is a feature, not a bug. And then there's maybe the most scientifically baffling part of ice-cold Nuka-Cola.
The perpetual chill.
The perpetual chill, yes. The sources state it cannot get warm, it stays ice-cold. Indefinitely, with no external power source.
Okay, hold on. That completely breaks, like, basic thermodynamics.
It absolutely does. Standard thermochemistry goes out the window here.
So if it's not just a super insulated bottle, what are we talking about? Is it some kind of hyperstabilized, I don't know, liquid nitrogen locked into the solution? Or maybe microthermoelectric coolers embedded in the glass that are somehow passively powered?
Well, connecting it to other bits of advanced pre-war tech we see, it suggests a huge leap in materials science, something we don't have today. Imagine the cost of putting that kind of tech into every single disposable soda bottle.
Astronomical.
It points towards some kind of active, continuous process, right? One theory I've seen kicked around is that the proprietary chemical stabilization process itself, the one triggered by the pristine machine, maybe it generates a continuous, really low-level endothermic reaction.
So it's constantly sucking heat out of the environment.
Something like that, drawing ambient heat in and maybe locking it into some weird energy state or frequency that keeps the liquid itself near freezing. It's like self-refrigerating chemistry.
That is terrifyingly advanced for a soda dispenser. It just reinforces that idea that this drink isn't just cooled, it's chemically forged into some unique, stable state that resists normal decay, designed to last forever, eternally cold.
But that eternal stability, that unique state, it actually comes with some downsides in the Wasteland, logistically speaking.
Right, it has limits.
Yeah, you get a single bottle cap when you drink it, which is, fine, minor economic boost. But chemically, it's kind of a dead end.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't trade it to zip back in little lamplight, for one. And more importantly, for high-level crafting. You can't use ice-cold Nuka-Cola for the quantum chemist perk.
Ah, okay. So it's powerful as a consumable, great for that immediate +20 HP boost, but because its structure is locked in by that perpetual chill process.
Exactly. Survivors can't break it down or synthesize it into the more advanced stuff. It's like this perfectly preserved museum piece. Useful for a quick fix, but ultimately useless for the really high-level applications.
Yeah.
Unlike quantum.
Right. Let's talk about Nuka-Cola Quantum, the atomic kick in the teeth.
Yeah. If ice cold is about controlling the market through proprietary tech, quantum was about raw, toxic power, military-grade stuff. This is where Nuka-Cola basically threw ethics, safety, common sense, all of it, straight into a dumpster fire and lit the match.
Okay, the origin story here is key. This wasn't just the beverage guys messing around in the lab, was it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Quantum was officially created in October 2076 by the Beverager division at Nuka World, yes, but its real origin, it was a byproduct.
A byproduct of what?
Project Cobalt.
Project Cobalt. Rings a bell. That was military, right?
Weapons research.
Yeah.
Sponsored directly by the U.S. military. So yeah, the most potent, most sought-after soda flavor ever created. It was literally born from research aimed at making better bombs.
That connection, that just says everything, doesn't it? This product was inherently forged by the military-industrial complex, by war prep. It's fundamentally corrupt from inception.
Absolutely. How does a soda company even get access to military-grade radioactive materials for bottling? Materials meant for ordnance.
Was the government in on it? Like, was this a sanctioned test on the public using Nuka-Cola's distribution?
The sources heavily imply it was some kind of classified joint venture. Extremely profitable for Nuka-Cola, probably provided plausible deniability for the military. They used the company's bottling plants and trucks for field testing radioactive materials disguised as a soft drink.
Disguised. Wow. So what was the core ingredient? What made it glow blue and gave it that kick?
It's a strontium-90 isotope derivative.
Strontium-90. Okay, that's bad. That's a major component of nuclear fallout. It's volatile, dangerous.
And they marketed it as a flavor additive. The military connection is undeniable. This stuff was originally developed for weapons.
But how did they sell that? I mean, surely it tasted radioactive.
Reports say it had a sort of metallic, spicy taste, not exactly appealing on its own. So to mask that, they added an 18th fruit flavor.
An 18th flavor on top of the original 17, what was it?
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate to cover up the taste of a spicy bomb isotope? That's just perfect corporate logic, isn't it? Put a little spritz of air freshener next to a 5-alarm chemical fire.
Well, they had to do something. The strontium gave it the kick they wanted, that unique selling point. But yeah, apparently the raw taste wasn't great. Though some characters, like Milo, the Nuka fanatic, described it as the pinnacle of taste sensation, blending the classic flavors with this dangerous new element.
Okay, let's pivot to the ethics here, because this sounds absolutely damning. The spicy cancer juice side of things. This product was morally forged from day one.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
The internal corporate files, they detail the initial testing phase, and it's bad. Early taste tests caused, and I quote, significant health problems and even deaths among the poor souls who tested it.
Deaths from taste testing a soda.
Yes. And the corporation's response, not to fix it, not initially. Their response was to make testers sign waivers.
Waivers? Like, sign here to promise you won't sue us if our radioactive soda kills you.
Pretty much exactly that. They knew it was potentially lethal, and they used legal paperwork to shield themselves before letting people drink it. It's the absolute definition of pre-war corporate malice and the collapse of consumer protection.
They literally did a cost-benefit analysis and decided launching the product was worth more than a few dead testers and some legal fees. That's just peak cynicism.
And even the final version, the adjusted product that actually made it to market just before the bombs fell, it still came packed with health risks. Major ones.
What were the official stats on the final version?
A permanent +10 radiation dose every time you drink one. That's 10 times worse than the ice-cold version we just talked about.
10 times.
And maybe even worse, a 10% chance of addiction. Every bottle you drink, there's a 1 in 10 chance you get hooked on the taste of ionizing radiation.
Addicted to radiation. Great. Let's talk chemistry again. Strontium-90. You said it's nasty in real-world fallout. Why?
Because chemically, it behaves a lot like calcium. It's in the same group on the periodic table, alkaline earth metals. So when you ingest it...
Your body thinks it's calcium.
Exactly. Your body tries to absorb it like it would absorb calcium. And where does calcium primarily go in the body?
Bones and teeth.
Right into your skeleton. The strontium-90 gets incorporated directly into your teeth and bones. It concentrates there. And that intense blue glow, that signature quantum look.
That's your bones glowing.
That's the visible sign of the strontium-90 embedded in your skeleton, constantly emitting radiation from inside your body. You are literally turning your bones into a long-term radiation source. The internal damage, the decay, It's systemic and persistent.
Oh my God. And the propaganda. How did they possibly sell this? You mentioned it passed inspection.
Somehow, yes. Approved by the Food and Drug Association, which, raises questions about that organization, too. There's even a news ticker report claiming quantum contained a healthy amount of radiation.
A healthy amount. Of strontium-90, that's Orwellian levels of gaslighting.
Peak gaslighting. But the physical reality, you couldn't really hide it. Despite the corporate spin, survivors in the Wasteland openly talk about the most obvious side effect. Ronald Loren, Sierra Petrovita, even Three Dog on the radio.
What is?
Drinking quantum makes your urine glow blue.
Seriously, you pee blue light.
You become a walking, glowing biohazard dispenser after just one bottle. That's the healthy amount of radiation in action.
Okay, so you get radiation poisoning, potential addiction, glowing bones, and neon pee. The benefits must have been insane to make anyone risk that.
They were certainly marketed that way. The slogan was pure aggression. Twice the calories, twice the carbohydrates, twice the caffeine, and twice the taste. Basically double everything.
And the gameplay effect reflected that.
Immensely. It gave a massive boost. Plus 20 action points for 4 minutes. That's a huge surge in combat speed and responsiveness. A massive, immediate kinetic advantage.
Right, Ronald Lauren's description seems pretty spot on then. Drinking a Nuka-Cola, then downing a fistful of sugar and punching yourself in the head.
That sums up the feeling pretty well, I think.
What's the physiological mechanism behind that plus 20 AP? Is it just the strontium messing with your nervous system, forcing hyper-awareness?
That seems the most likely explanation. The isotope probably interferes with normal cellular signaling, maybe mimics or disrupts neurotransmitters, essentially forcing the body into this state of extreme chemical stress. It's like an uncontrollable adrenaline rush mixed with a massive stimulant dose at the cellular level.
Burning the candle at both ends, basically.
Exactly. Gives you 4 minutes of feeling like a god, followed by, well, the long-term consequences of radioactive decay setting in.
And its military origins come back around too, right? You can weaponize it?
Yes. Confirms where it really came from. Survivors can take a quantum, mix it with some common household chemicals like a Abraxo cleaner and turpentine, and create a Nuka grenade.
A devastating explosive. So the civilian soda, born from military research, goes right back to being a weapon in the Wasteland.
The cycle completes itself. It can also be used in cooking, strangely enough. Baked into a Mississippi quantum pie.
A pie, a radioactive pie.
Apparently delicious, according to the lore, but yeah, comes with all the catastrophic radiation side effects you'd expect. The duality of this stuff is just wild. Is it a refreshing beverage or a battlefield ordnance?
Yeah.
Snack or weapon?
Okay, so if it's this potent, this powerful, why is it so rare? You find regular Nuka-Cola everywhere, but quantum is like gold dust.
It comes down to timing.
Yeah.
Possibly the single worst product launch date in the history of commerce.
When was it released?
Quantum officially hit the shelves, went public, on October 23, 2077.
The same day.
The same day the bombs fell, the Great War started, literally hours after the product launch began.
So the entire market rollout just evaporated.
Instantly. Wiped out before it could even gain traction. That catastrophic timing is the primary reason it's incredibly rare to find in the Wasteland 2 centuries later.
And it wasn't even in full production everywhere yet, was it? It was still limited.
Right. It was in a limited test market phase. Only the Washington, D.C. bottling facility was producing it commercially before the war ended things.
Which explains why you find those specific caches in certain locations around D.C.
Exactly. Those big stashes people find, like in the crashed Nuka-Cola truck near the Chased Acres dairy farm, or the supplies hidden in Paradise Falls. Those locations line up with internal company documents talking about the test market logistics.
So survivors are basically raiding shipments that got stuck in transit for 200 years because of the apocalypse.
Pretty much. They're finding the inventory that never made it to store shelves.
But there's a twist, right? A way around the scarcity later on. Something about a perk.
Yes, the survival mechanics offer a kind of, well, maybe a corporate redemption. Sort of.
Huh.
The Broken Steel add-on introduces the Quantum Chemist perk.
And what does that do?
It allows a survivor with the right skills to take 10 bottles of regular Nuka-Cola and automatically transform them into 1 bottle of Nuka-Cola Quantum.
Whoa, so you can just make it out of regular cola.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It implies the survivor figures out how to replicate the strontium stabilization process, or maybe synthesize the active isotope using trace elements found in the regular Nuka-Cola.
Yeah.
It's a massive
It
shift.
completely bypasses the scarcity. Suddenly, you have a potentially infinite supply of quantum as long as you can find regular Nuka-Cola.
Exactly. The apocalypse created the initial rarity, but this perk represents the survivor achieving the corporation's ultimate product vision, unlimited quantum for everyone, by mastering the synthesis themselves. They tune the common stuff into the high-risk, high-reward resource. It's a stark contrast to ice cold, which remains locked in its pre-war scarcity model.
Okay, so we've had proprietary chilling tech and we've had radioactive bomb juice. What's the third variant? Nuka-Cola Clear. This sounds tame by comparison.
It is. Nuka-Cola Clear is kind of the opposite extreme. It's the story of the Nuka-Cola Corporation trying to hedge its bets, maybe play it safe for once, and just failing completely. A total diversification flop.
So what was it?
It was a formula they developed shortly before the Great War. But the crucial difference is it was never mass-produced. It never really hit the market.
Why not? What was the idea behind it?
Well, it was clear, obviously.
Yeah.
Colorless. The thinking was likely, maybe tap into a market segment looking for something perceived as healthier or cleaner, especially if they were getting nervous about the quantum testing results.
Like the clear soda fad we had in the real world back in the 90s, Crystal Pepsi, that kind of thing.
Exactly that vibe. A marketing gimmick aiming for an image of purity or simplicity. But it backfired.
How so?
The sources say the few reviewers or testers who tried it reported it just didn't have the same kick as original Nuka-Cola.
So it didn't deliver the jolt people expected.
Precisely. The American consumer by that point seems to have been thoroughly hooked on that specific high caffeine, high sugar, maybe slightly chemically addictive profile of the original. Clear sacrificed that performance, that familiar kick, purely for aesthetics.
They missed the core appeal. People didn't want healthier, they wanted the buzz.
Seems like it. The irony's just perfect, isn't it? The product that looked clean and healthy was a commercial dud, while the product that literally glowed blue with radiation was poised to be their biggest hit.
So if it never really existed as a product, why is it relevant? How does it even feature in the Wasteland?
Because its value isn't in the drink itself. It's in the knowledge of how to make it, the intellectual property.
Okay, explain that.
You don't find bottles of Nuka-Cola Clear lying around.
Yeah.
What survivors can find is the actual formula. It exists as a quest item, usually on a holotape, hidden away in a safe in the old Nuka-Cola plant's R&D section.
So you find the trade secret, not the product. The knowledge survived, even if the bottles were never made in large numbers.
Exactly. And that knowledge has value in the post-apocalyptic economy.
How much value?
The survivor can actually sell that formula. There's a faction, Goalie Ledoux and his sudden death overtime group, who are interested in pre-war tech and recipes. They'll pay up to 400 caps for that Nuka-Cola Clear formula holotape.
400 caps. For a failed soda recipe, let's put that in perspective. A regular bottle of Nuka-Cola might fetch, 10 caps? Maybe 20 if you're lucky.
Right, so a single piece of pre-war corporate IP for a product that was a commercial failure even before the bombs dropped is worth potentially 20 or 40 times more than an actual bottle of their flagship product.
That says a lot about the economy, doesn't it? Physical stuff decays, breaks down, but knowledge, especially manufacturing knowledge,
that retains immense value. People aren't just trading for goods, they're trading for the potential to make goods again.
Yeah.
That failed formula represents the ability to restart production, to maybe create something new based on old tech. It's a bargaining chip, precisely because it's a pre-war technical secret.
And isn't there some weirdness with the formula itself, like a bug or something in the source?
Yeah, the verification bug. There's a known exploit where the player can sell the formula holotape to Ledoux, get the caps, and then, potentially kill him and loot the formula back again, sometimes finding a duplicate.
So even the intellectual property itself is kind of unstable, duplicatable, forged in its own digital way.
You could definitely say that.
Yeah.
The knowledge itself isn't solid. It's exploitable within the system. It's like a final little insult from the pre-war world. Even their failed ideas are corrupted.
So Nuka-Cola Clear, the flop, ends up perfectly illustrating that maybe the most valuable thing the corporation left behind wasn't any particular drink, but the know-how to create these things regardless of safety or success?
Right. The ability to potentially start it all up again. That's the real currency.
Okay, let's try and synthesize this. We've looked at 3 very different Nuka-Cola variants: ice cold, quantum, and clear. What's the connecting thread here? What does it tell us about the Nuka-Cola Corporation in its final days?
Well, you see a clear progression, or maybe a desperation, First, with ice cold, they engineer exclusivity and dependence through proprietary technology, creating scarcity by design. Then with quantum, they just go full throttle into pure, dangerous power. They embrace toxicity, military connections, massive risk, all for that ultimate kick and market buzz. Ethics are completely out the window.
And clear.
Clear feels like a nervous step back, an attempt, maybe too late, to offer a safer alternative. But it fails because they misunderstood or underestimated their own customers' addiction to the original formula's effects.
So the through line really is risk, manipulation, and a willingness to push absolutely any boundary, scientific, ethical, safety, if it meant market dominance or finding that next big addictive hit.
Absolutely. They explored two extremes, the chemically locked, perpetually perfect chill of ice cold and the radioactive, weaponized intensity of quantum. Both were about control, just achieved through different means.
And the darkest irony, the thing that really sticks with you after digging into this, is which one succeeded, right?
Exactly. The glowing poison, Nuka-Cola quantum, the stuff born from weapons research. That's the most powerful, the most desired, the most valuable, consumable in the Wasteland, despite its horrific side effects.
While the attempt at something cleaner, more transparent, Nuka-Cola Clear, total failure, dead before arrival. The market, or at least the corporation's perception of it, rewarded the extreme, dangerous gamble.
It tells you something pretty disturbing about what people wanted, or what the corporation thought they wanted, even before the world ended. It wasn't just sugar and caffeine, it was the edge, the extreme chemical boost. And Nuka-Cola was more than happy to provide it, even if it meant, quite literally, bottling radiation.
Okay, so let's leave our listeners with a final thought on this. Something to chew on. We have these two remarkable products, ice cold and quantum, both designed for extreme preservation in their own way.
Right. The pristine machine creates a drink that's indefinitely cold, defying thermodynamics. Its chemical structure is locked.
And the strontium-90 in quantum creates a drink that indefinitely glows, defying normal decay through radioactivity. Its atomic structure is active.
Both are relics built to last centuries, perfectly preserved artifacts of the Nuka-Cola Corporation.
So the question is, what does that incredible permanence actually represent when you look at the company behind them, their methods, their ethics? Are these drinks symbols of perpetual preservation, or are they symbols of perpetual, inherent, maybe even glowing decay? Which legacy did Nuka-Cola really bottle? You decide which one you'd rather put in your body.
Welcome back to the deep dive. All right, if you've stuck with us through the first two parts, you know we've gone deep, like really deep into Project Purity, the engineering, the ethics, the whole monumental effort to fix the capital Wasteland's water problem.
We really did. Covered the nuts and bolts, the science, the big moral questions.
But here's the thing. Solving one huge problem, like scarcity, doesn't always mean smooth sailing. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it just creates a whole new set of nightmares. Problems of control.
That's exactly right. Today, we're shifting gears. We're done with the mechanics of cleaning the water. Now we're diving into what happens after. The social fallout, the economic shifts. Honestly, the lethal consequences of suddenly having mass-produced pure water in a world that's, let's face it, morally bankrupt.
Yeah, morally bankrupt feels about right for the Wasteland.
Because when you introduce a miracle cure, something genuinely life-saving, humanity's first instinct isn't always let's share. Often it's how can I profit, or worse, how can I weaponize this, or even how can I fake this?
So that's our mission today. We're unpacking the whole messy economy that sprang up around Project Purity's main product, Aqua Pura. But not just that. We're looking at its twisted siblings too. The stuff that kills you, the stuff that's a total scam, and the stuff that's supposedly divine.
Right. We need to break down who actually gets the good stuff, why the Brotherhood's whole distribution plan was, frankly, flawed from the get-go.
And how fast this life-saving resource got twisted. Turned into biological weapons, snake oil, even like religious dogma. This is where the story gets really, really messy. And fascinating.
It's a perfect storm, really. A case study in post-scarcity economics gone wrong. Yeah, they cracked the technical challenge, but the supply chain, the morals of the people in charge, they just crumbled instantly.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with the product itself, Aqua Pura, the basics. Right, so Aqua Pura, what is it exactly? It's the water that comes out of Project Purity after it's reactivated post-broken steel, is drawing water from the tidal basin, that irradiated cesspool, and turning it into, well, pure hydration.
And the name, Aqua Pura. It's literally just Latin for pure water. Simple, direct. It's the flagship product from, you gotta think of Project Purity as the world's most hardcore, high-stakes water treatment plant dropped into a radioactive hellscape.
That's a good analogy. And the product itself, assuming it's not, tampered with.
Assuming it's clean, it's perfect, mechanically speaking. Restores a solid plus 20 hit points. No radiation, 0.
And that plus 20 HP, that sounds okay, but you got to put it in context, right?
Yeah.
Compared to what people were drinking before.
Oh, absolutely. Before purity, what did you have? Dirty water.
Yeah.
That gives you, what, plus 10 HP? Half the healing? And the killer part, it hits you with plus 5 radiation every single time.
Think about that. Just trying to stay hydrated is actively poisoning you, slowly but surely.
Exactly. You're wandering the wastes, fighting off mutants, exploring ruins. Radiation is everywhere. It's like a tax on existing. Every sip of dirty water, every dip in a river, it adds up. Drink 10 bottles of that sludge. That's 50 rads you gotta deal with.
Which means burning through Rad-X, Rad-Away, valuable chems, valuable caps. It's a constant drain.
Aqua Pura just wipes that problem away. Boom. Clean health boost, no radiation debt. It's not just water, it's like a free pass from constantly worrying about rad sickness. It buys you time, it restores health, sure, but more importantly, it stops that constant, slow drain.
Huge difference. And the Brotherhood of Steel, under Elder Lyons. Their plan wasn't small scale, was it?
Not at all. Their stated goal was, well, incredibly ambitious, especially given the Bawas's usual isolationism. They wanted to distribute Aqua Pura to the entire population of the capital Wasteland. Everyone.
Massive. Not just cleaning up one town's well. This was meant to change life across the whole region, like state building through H2O.
And the sources show they planned for it, at least on paper. Scribes dedicated to logistics, mapping routes, figuring out supply lines.
But the actual distribution, that sounds like where things got tricky.
Oh, yeah. A logistical nightmare. They were using their top soldiers, knights and paladins, basically as caravan guards, protecting scavengers who were hauling these big yellow barrels of water on packed Brahmin, trying to stick to merchant routes, avoid the worst danger zones.
Imagine the resources that ties up. Your best fighters babysitting water barrels across miles of hostile territory full of super mutants, raiders, God knows what else.
It's insane. You're moving the single most valuable commodity in the wasteland, escorted by your most valuable assets, through the most dangerous places. What could possibly go wrong?
Right. And we see hints of this system, right? The crates of Aqua Pura you find.
Exactly. You can't interact with the big yellow barrels on the Brahmin, but you find crates, maybe 10 bottles or so, at secured buy spots. The Citadel, Rivet City checkpoint, the memorial itself, these are the safe zones, the distribution hubs.
So you've got this amazing tech pumping out perfect water. But the delivery system is slow, dangerous, needs heavy military protection, and relies on pack animals. It feels inherently insufficient, like it could never actually reach everyone.
And that insufficiency, that gap between the promise and the reality, that's where the whole system starts to break down. That's where the black market, the corruption, that's where it all begins.
Yeah, so that question always comes up. Why would the Brotherhood just give away something so valuable? And the simple answer is, they don't, really. Not entirely. They're using water as a tool.
Yeah.
Political leverage.
How so? They are giving some away, right? To settlements.
They are, but it's selective giving. And the key is who they don't give it to. That's where the real strategy and the hypocrisy lies.
Okay, lay it on us. Who gets cut off?
They have this official zero-tolerance exclusion list. Groups explicitly banned from getting Aqua Pura through official channels. Raiders, obviously. Slavers, same deal. Makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
standard enemies.
Then their ideological rivals, the Brotherhood outcasts, keeping resources from them. Standard internal politics.
Still following. But then, non-feral ghouls.
Wait, all non-feral ghouls?
Yeah.
Like the ones in Underworld, just because they're ghouls?
Pretty much. Shut out completely. Based on, well, prejudice, basically. And think about the economic ripple effect of that list.
Okay. Raiders and slavers, they might be scum, but they often have caps. Lots of caps.
Yeah.
Cut them off from the only clean water.
Instant black market demand. Huge demand. From people who can afford to pay top dollar.
And the ghouls in Underworld, that's a whole community, a stable population, suddenly desperate for clean water and forced to look elsewhere.
Exactly. The Bop Yes policy, under this shiny veneer of charity, literally created two massive, profitable customer bases for anyone willing to operate outside the rules. It's like they designed the black market themselves.
Wow. So the charity is really just for approved groups.
And this is where Scribe Bigsley comes in. He's the guy at the Jefferson Memorial, supposedly running the logistics for this grand distribution plan.
And he's not exactly following orders.
Not even close. The sources are clear. Bigsley is running a massive side hustle. He's skimming off large amounts of Aqua Pura and selling it under the table.
To who?
To guys like Griffin. enterprising, morally bankrupt individuals, as Bigsley himself puts it, guys who can move the product to those excluded groups.
But why? If the Brotherhood has all these knights and paladins, why does a scribe need to go rogue? Doesn't the Buys have the resources? Aren't they supposed to be this self-sufficient military powerhouse?
And that's the official story crumbling right there. Bigsley's justification, according to his dialogue, is pure desperation. He claims the Brotherhood forces are stretched too thin. They can't protect all the caravans needed to actually supply everyone like Lyons promised.
So they don't have enough soldiers to fulfill their own mandate.
Apparently not. Bigsley says he needs the caps, and specifically the tech that guys like Griffin offer him to hire outside help. Mercenaries. Rivet City security guards, specifically. To protect the caravans, the Brotherhood can't escort themselves.
Get out of here. So, the Brotherhood's grand humanitarian project is being funded by selling the miracle water on the black market to the exact people they publicly condemn and exclude.
Yep. It's a closed loop of hypocrisy. Exclude groups, create black market demand, sell water secretly to fill that demand, use profits to fund the legitimate distribution to the worthy. It's not charity, it's monetizing their own moral high ground to cover operational failure.
It is profoundly messed up.
Yeah.
They're basically using Aqua Pura as political currency, funding their own operations while pretending to be saviors.
It's leverage. Securing alliances like with Rivet City Security, covering budget shortfalls, all while maintaining the public image. It's a system designed to fail upwards, or maybe just fail sideways.
And does it seem like Bigsley's scheme even works? Like, does it actually help them cover all the routes, or is it just plugging holes in a sinking ship?
The fact that Bigsley feels the need to do it at all suggests it's constantly insufficient. If the boys' ass had the resources, he wouldn't risk treason, right? It screams that the logistics were always overwhelming their capacity.
So the minute they saw the science problem, the human problem, the logistics, the ethics, the internal politics just blew up in their faces.
Precisely. They created pure water, but ended up distributing political favors, funding corruption, and ultimately creating massive vulnerability.
And that vulnerability, well, it gets exploited big time.
Right.
By the worst possible actors.
Right. If the Bottos represents, let's say, morally gray opportunism and systemic failure, the Enclave is just pure, unadulterated evil. State-sponsored bioterrorism.
This is the FEV threat, right? The modified forced evolutionary virus.
Exactly. The sources are crystal clear. If the player chose or was forced to allow the modified FEV to be introduced into Project Purity during the Take It Back quest, the entire water supply gets poisoned.
And this isn't like adding a bit of radiation. This is different.
Completely different. This is a weapon designed for genocide, hidden inside the very thing people need to survive. And the truly insidious part, the genius, cruel twist.
It still heals you.
It still gives you that plus 20 HP boost. You drink it, you feel better instantly. There's no immediate sign that you've just ingested something designed to systematically destroy your mind and body.
It's the ultimate Trojan horse. Salvation that kills you slowly.
Which makes the FEV clock so damn terrifying. It's cumulative, the effects stack up, and they are fatal. It doesn't matter how much time passes between drinks, the game tracks the number of bottles consumed. Relentlessly.
Okay, walk us through it again. Bottle by bottle, what happens?
All right, bottle 1. You get the plus 20 HP, feel fine, but bam, you permanently lose 1 point of strength. Just like that. Maybe you don't notice right away, but you're weaker.
Subtle. Sneaky.
Bottle 2, another plus 20 HP. But now your strength penalty hits Megas 2, total. You're definitely feeling it now. Can't carry as much, melee is weaker, physically compromised.
That's bad. But bottle 3 is where it gets really darker.
That's when it attacks the mind. Bottle 3, you keep the Megas 2 strength, but now you also lose 1 point of intelligence. Permanently. Your cognitive function starts to degrade.
Which, in the Wasteland, is a death sentence. You need to be strong and smart to survive. Losing both, you're screwed.
Completely. Even minor threats become overwhelming. And then, bottle 4.
The end game.
Instant death. Doesn't matter your health, your level, anything. Drink that 4th bottle of FEV-infected Aqua Pura, and the script kills you on the spot. Game over. It's a slow, guaranteed breakdown hidden in plain sight, a perfect bioweapon.
I remember Eden, the Zayax computer running the Enclave, trying to claim the lone wanderer would be immune. Something about being born outside the vault, a Wastelander.
Total bullshit. The sources confirm it kills the player character just as dead as anyone else. 4 bottles, you're done. The FEV doesn't discriminate. Eden was either lying or delusional, probably both.
So, mass poisoning, slow decay, inevitable death. Sounds bad enough.
Oh, but it gets worse. Because the implementation of this FEV contamination in the game, it's buggy as hell, which ironically makes the whole thing even more dangerous and chaotic.
How so? What kind of bugs are we talking about?
Okay, remember the water beggars. Outside Megaton, Rivet City. The ones asking for pure water. Giving them some mets, you good karma.
Yeah. What about them?
Well, if you give them any Aqua Pura, even the completely clean, pure stuff from a playthrough where the FEV wasn't used, they die.
Seriously.
Bad scripting. The game script tied to giving them water apparently doesn't bother to check if the water is actually infected. It just assumes all Aqua Pura post-broken steel might be infected, and runs the death script associated with FEV consumption when the map reloads.
Holy hell. So you try to do a good deed, give someone life-saving water, and the game kills them because of a programming oversight. That's... wow.
It's punishing charity because the system assumes the worst. A grim metaphor if ever there was one.
That's messed up. What's the other bug? You said it was even more ridiculous.
Right. This one involves NPCs drinking the infected water during combat. Say, a super mutant or an Enclave soldier takes a swig of bad Aqua Pura mid-fight to heal up. The game script that tracks the FEV consumption, it screws up the attribution, it wrongly applies the negative effects, the stat penalties, and even the 4-bottle death count to the player character instead of the NPC who actually drank it.
Wait. So, some random enemy drinks their 4th bottle of poison water across the map, and I drop dead. While I'm just, like, minding my own business back home.
That's exactly what the sources indicate can happen. The consequences of the contamination are so bugged, so broken, that the lethality can literally jump to the player due to a scripting error.
That is, I have no words. That's beyond broken. That's cosmic level bad luck caused by shoddy code.
It perfectly illustrates the uncontrollable chaos of releasing something like the FEV. The effects spill everywhere, hitting the wrong targets, all because the system itself is fundamentally flawed.
Okay, state-sponsored biological warfare is terrifying and buggy. Let's shift gears again. From mass death to small-time fraud. Aqua Pura.
Exactly. If the Bohater is politics and the Enclave is warfare, then Griffin, the ghoul operating out of the Museum Authority building, he's pure, unadulterated hucksterism. This is where Aqua Pura meets the classic snake oil salesman.
Right, Aqua Pura, the fake stuff. He's basically ripping off the brand recognition, isn't he?
Totally. He knows Aqua Pura is the gold standard, the miracle cure everyone wants. So he cooks up Aqua Pura. Sounds similar, sounds vaguely medical, sounds legit if you don't look too close, but it's a complete counterfeit.
And how's he making it? Where does he even get the bottles?
It all ties back together. He gets real Aqua Pura from his buddy, Scribe Bigsley. Remember Bigsley's side hustle? Griffin is one of his main buyers. He pays Bigsley, probably in tech or caps.
Then he takes the real stuff.
Keeps it to sell on the actual black market for a huge profit, likely to those raiders and slavers the Boas cut off. Then it takes the empty bottles, fills them up with whatever dirty, irradiated water he can find, slaps an Aqua Pura label on it, and sells that too.
Double dipping on the corruption. Classy. So what are people actually drinking when they buy Aqua Pura?
Basically, dirty water, with maybe some extra filth from his dodgy bottling process. It gives you the standard plus 10 hit points you'd get from pond scum.
Oh, with radiation.
Oh, yeah. And get this, the sources say Aqua Pura actually has plus 6 radiation. That's more radioactive than standard dirty water, which is usually plus 5. He's selling garbage that's actively worse for you than the free stuff.
Unbelievable. He's making it worse. Who's he selling this crap to?
He's exploiting the bodice exclusion policy perfectly. Sells the real stuff to the rich outcasts, raiders, slavers. Sells the fake stuff, the Aqua Pura, to the other major group excluded by the Brotherhood. The non-feral ghouls and underworld.
So he profits from both sides of the bodice's moral line. Genius, in a scummy way.
It's a textbook hustle. And the sources explicitly compare it to the old patent medicine era from the 19th century. You know, miracle elixirs, fancy Latin-sounding names, wild claims.
All the claims. We have to talk about the claims Griffin makes for Aqua Pura. They're legendary.
They are absolutely bonkers. He doesn't just say it hydrates you. No. According to Griffin, Aqua Pura cures clumsiness.
Okay. Induces love.
Naturally.
Helps hair growth, cures headaches, removes stains.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite, prevents bullying.
Prevents bullying. How? Does it make you radioactive enough that bullies leave you alone?
Who knows? He's just throwing everything at the wall, promising a universal fix for life problems, all to sell slightly more irradiated than usual dirty water. It's pure showmanship and desperation marketing.
You have to admire the sheer audacity, even while shaking your head. How does anyone fall for that?
Desperation, hope, And here's the kicker, the ghoul loophole that makes his scam weirdly effective for his main customer.
Chill.
Remember who he's selling Aqua Pura to, the ghouls in Underworld. And what does Aqua Pura contain a bit extra of?
Radiation.
And what heals ghouls?
Radiation, oh my god. Bingo. Because of their unique biology, radiation exposure is actually beneficial to non-feral ghouls. It heals them, strengthens their ghoulification. So Griffin is selling them irradiated water, making completely fraudulent claims about curing clumsiness and preventing bullying. But the core ingredient, the radiation, it actually works for them.
No way. So the scam product is accidentally beneficial to its target audience purely because of their biology.
Exactly. He's selling something objectively good for ghouls, but he's lying through his teeth about why it's good and what else it does. The product delivers a positive result, just for completely the wrong reasons, which probably makes people believe his other bullshit claims too.
That's peak Fallout logic right there. The fake water works, but only if you're a ghoul, and only because it's irradiated. Well,
Yeah.
okay, from fake cures to divine intervention.
Right, we've had the political, the military, the commercial corruption, now for the spiritual angle. Holy water. This comes from Mother Curie III and her flock, the Apostles of the Eternal Light, the Church of Adam folks.
Ah, the radiation worshippers. Their goal isn't hydration, is it? It's enlightenment through radiation poisoning.
Pretty much. They want to spread the glow of Adam's light, which is just a fancy term for dangerous levels of radiation. They genuinely believe that becoming a ghoul, embracing mutation, is humanity's divine destiny. Adam's blessing.
So how do they make their holy water?
According to Mother Curie, it starts with Aqua Pura. She claims some boss knights gave her barrels of it, thinking they were helping the people of Megaton, unknowingly donating pure water to a radiation cult.
Oh, the irony.
Right. She then takes this perfectly clean water and performs a blessing, which means she deliberately contaminates it with a massive dose of radiation. Adam's light.
Okay, so what are the stats on this divinely irradiated water?
It still gives you the plus 20 hit points, same as pure Aqua Pura, so good hydration, but it hits you with plus 15 radiation.
15. That's triple the rads of dirty water.
Yep.
It's intensely radioactive, and they give it away for free. Value. Zero caps. Their mission is conversion, not commerce. They want your cells to mutate for Adam, not your cats for their pockets.
Okay, so it's basically supercharged dirty water given away by fanatics. But there's a twist here too, isn't there? Something about the FEV.
This is the absolute chef's kiss of Wasteland irony. The sources confirm it. If the Aqua Pura that Mother Curie started with was actually the FEV-infected batch from the Enclave,
Yeah.
her process of blessing it, bombarding it with massive amounts of radiation, it neutralizes the FEV.
You're kidding me. The radiation cult accidentally cured the Enclave's bioweapon.
By trying to make it holier, by dousing it in Adam's light, she inadvertently destroyed the fragile FEV structure. She turned deadly poison water back into, well, just extremely radioactive water. It's unbelievable.
So extreme radiation is an FEV disinfectant. Who knew?
Apparently, Mother Curie III, accidentally, it establishes this wild principle. Hit the FEV with enough rads and you kill it. The cure for the Enclave plague was religious fanaticism, trading instant death for severe radiation poisoning and probable ghoulification. Sounds about right for the Wasteland.
But hold on, there's a catch. Even with the cured holy water, it's not like it becomes harmless. The sources say that even if the FEV is neutralized, if that holy water started as FEV-infected water, drinking it still gives you the permanent debuffs. You still take the NACIS 2 strength hit, the NACIS 1 intelligence hit, plus the plus 15 radiation.
So you avoid the instant death script from the FEV, but you're left permanently weaker, dumber, and glowing like a nightlight.
Exactly. It saves your life technically, but leaves you crippled and irradiated. It's maybe the lesser of two evils compared to FEV death, but it's still a terrible outcome.
So the choices for pure water end up being actually pure, slowly lethal poison, radioactive fake stuff, or cripplingly radioactive holy stuff. What a selection. Hashtag outro.
Yeah, when you lay it all out like that, pure, poisoned, fake, and holy, it paints a pretty bleak picture, doesn't it? Project Purity, technologically, a massive success. It solved the engineering problem, turned sludge into Aqua Pura.
Absolutely, they cracked the science. But the instant they did,
The human element just shattered everything. The pure water immediately became this incredibly volatile commodity, a political tool for the BES, a weapon for the Enclave, a scam for Griffin, dogma for the Church of Adam.
it stopped being about hydration and started being about power, control, the Brotherhood's selective charity, Bigsley's corruption. It all stemmed from controlling the supply.
The core problem shifted. It wasn't scarcity anymore, it was integrity. The integrity of the distribution, the integrity of the people handling it. Can a pure resource stay pure when the hands it passes through are greedy or fanatical or just plain evil?
The answer seems to be a resounding no. The Enclave weaponized it. Griffin faked it for profit, perfectly exploiting the system's flaws. Mother Curie turned it into a radioactive sacrament, accidentally stumbling on a cure that's almost as bad as the disease.
The distribution system, the human network built around the water, was fundamentally the weakest point. Far weaker than any filter or pipe in the Jefferson Memorial.
Which brings us to that final thought, doesn't it? Despite this incredible technological leap forward, Project Purity, did it actually make things better? Or did the human response, the greed, the violence, the fanaticism, just make clean water a new, maybe even more dangerous battleground than the irradiated rivers ever were?
The water itself was pure, but the people handling it, far from it. And maybe that's the real question we leave you with. In a world this broken, can technology ever truly be a savior? Or is it always just going to be a catalyst, triggering the next round of humanity's failures and follies? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us once again into the messed up economics and ethics of the Wasteland. We'll catch you on the next one.